Hey, it's Loren Lahav. I am so glad you are here. This podcast is about keeping it real, helping you own your worth, find your voice, and step into your truly badass and beautiful life that you deserve. Every week, I'm bringing you stories, tools, and conversations that inspire, connect, and engage. We're going to laugh, we're going to get real, and we're going to dive into what it really takes for you to live a life that you're proud of, whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or right at home. So grab your favorite beverage, turn up the volume, and let's dive in because it's your time to own it, live it, and love it. Loren Lahav here, and get ready to be empowered. I mean, this lady is a powerhouse. She asked me if I had an extra battery, but I think she should have been asking herself if she has an extra battery as well. So welcome, my dear friend, Ariana. I'm so excited to share you with the world. Tell us a little bit of your backstory, because if there is a picture of a person beside the word badass, she is badass of what she has done in her career and just who she is as a person.
Backstory. Okay, so I'm the young woman who, at the age of 13, knew she wanted to be a lawyer. I knew right then, mostly because I had had such challenges in my youth, and those challenges continued. And I think most people see me as not having had those. You know, there's a concept of all that glitters is not gold. There are stories, you know, you're a phenomenal storyteller. And so that anchor or North Star of knowing I wanted to become a lawyer led me down this path where I obviously ultimately did become a lawyer in a different way than most people. So most people, including myself, who had this dream of, oh, I'm going to go to law school, I'm going to go to the best law school, and I'm going to, you know, work for one of these big firms, and I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to do all the things. Well, I applied to all the best schools undergrad, and I applied to all the best schools for law school, and I didn't go to the Ivy League schools. I went to schools that were intended for me. That's what God's choice was for me, and I was certainly disappointed that I didn't get admitted to some of those schools, and ultimately that led me again and again to places where what my expectation was not met, because there was something far greater. And the far greater was that I actually started my practice of law as a class action lawyer. And I think most people have sometimes a negative sense of what class action lawyers do. As I've shared with you, I represent all of you. I represent people who don't have the means to bring a case when they've been wronged. And I've done that for over 30 years. And I've loved pretty much every minute of the practice of law, and simultaneously also found my entrepreneurial spirit, where I found a niche to really lean into technology and become now an authority on something called e-discovery. What does that mean? When we have a case that is going to be litigated or tried, today, most of the information, of course, is going to be digital. It's going to be your email, your text messages, your social media. So beware, think about those things. And ultimately, while I was practicing law and a managing partner of a very large firm, built an e-discovery company, sold an e-discovery company. And then when I was really unhappy at the firm I had been at for a very long time, I launched my own firm. And so when I did that, that was a game changer for me, because even though I had been a managing partner for so long, when you create from the beginning, it's a very different experience.
So it's very interesting when I hear your story. Once again, a lot to unpack with my ladies because there's so much badassness in everything that you say. It's almost like you became a voice for the voiceless.
Yes, I think that that's true. And I don't think that I realized that I've been doing that for a very long time, not exclusively in my practice of law, just in my life.
Yes.
Because I've always felt so compelled to help and serve the underserved. And in many ways, that's what my legal practice became. And then that also morphed into where I'm going now.
Right.
Being able to help women and Gen Zs and millennials who are stuck and they need to get unstuck. They don't have the resources or they don't know which way to turn, and being able to do that from a place that emanates directly from my heart.
So what was the defining moment? Was there a defining moment that made you said, this is it, this is what I'm going to do? Like we all have moments in our life that go, oh, it's a non-negotiable for me that I'm doing this. Was there a defining moment for yourself?
Yes, I had a birthday actually 3 years ago, and I woke up and just said, I need to do something very different. I had already been mentoring lots of people, and found that that was bringing me so much joy, and that running a law firm, also litigating cases, also generating the cases, creating leadership opportunities, that was becoming more and more challenging, particularly because I launched my firm in 2019 before that pause that we had. And I'm very happy and proud of the fact that we were one of the first firms, if not the first firm, that was up and running on the Zoom platforms, on all of the remote platforms. And yet I kept thinking to myself, okay, time is going to pass and I'm going to get to where my next chapter is set to begin. And then more legal case opportunities came up. And so I kept taking those, thinking, well, that's what's supposed to happen. So even though I had this wake-up call on that birthday, and I said it out loud and I shared it with the people that matter in my life, the legal practice just kept kind of pulling me. And then I had the opportunity to go to Fiji, which is where I met you, on a Tony Robbins program, which was really spectacular and very moving. And I came back from that trip and just said, this is it. This is it. And I need to do something different. In this interim period, I also became of counsel to another firm. And it's actually the firm where I first started practicing law. And I have a phenomenal relationship with these lawyers. They're great lawyers. And so there's always an opportunity for me to drive business and be a resource to them. And yet they also have been so supportive, understanding that I'm in a place now of my life where I really want to have big impact.
It's interesting, though, that we've already had a big impact. Let's just say you're like, I'm at a point where you've had big impact.
Well, thank you.
And acknowledging that is huge. And you've helped millions and millions of people, and a lot of people don't even know how you've been able to help them, but you've been able to help millions of people. Like at the luncheon that you just spoke at, which you were extraordinary.
Thank you.
That I think everybody, the whole room was like, wow, what? Everybody, and you're like, every single one of you have been affected in some way. My question to you is, when you made that resolve for yourself that something had to change, what was the first emotion that you were feeling?
I would say the first emotion, which was probably purely seconds, was euphoria, which that's not a usual emotion for me. Mm-hmm. I would say I've spent the majority of my life so focused on so many other people that I often felt very controlled or boxed in, or having a responsibility to always have things just right. And when I knew I had made the decision, it just felt so freeing. I then immediately had a counter reaction, which was sadness, because for somebody who, again, wanted to practice law from the time she was 13, that's my identity. Mm-hmm. And having to process through that sort of tug. And was I doing something to somehow let my inner soul down? Was that a failure? And of course, having come through the process now over a number of months, realizing, no, it's just one of those moments of bittersweetness. Mm-hmm. And I'll always be a lawyer.
Right.
Right? It's in my being, it's in my soul. And even today I shared that I'm, like a whisperer. Somebody needs a lawyer, they're going to contact me because even if I can't serve them, I'm going to be able to.
But now it's a tool in your toolbox, not so much the one thing that you identify yourself with in every area of your life. It's just a tool, right? Or it's just a role that you have that served you, but you're still taking all that you've learned, those great lessons, and bringing it into this next chapter. I think a lot of times people go, well, I'm done with that. And I don't need to, instead of like realizing those were such important pieces along the journey, right? When we went together, I knew that you had to go with me to this amazing trip that we went to in South Africa, working with the veterans and the rhinos. And it was a big decision for you to go. A lot was happening in life. And when you say, what's happened in your life now that you're just saying yes to things?
Everything is opening up. And I would say when I received the call from you and you said, I don't know if you could even make this a possibility. And I believe what I said is, I'm 85% yes. I need to run down 2 flights of stairs and just check in with my husband, whom I love, and not because he would give me permission. I don't ask for permission. He doesn't ask for permission from me. It was more just checking in. Is there anything that would be so disruptive if I did that? And the calling, especially the mission element of this, for me was so aligned with the work that I want to do now to help people transform their lives. My intent in now coaching and being a public speaker is not to change somebody's life. That's not for me to do. That would be so presumptuous. Rather, what I would like to do is to help people find the tools within themselves, and most significantly, to build what I call the resilience muscle. So if you have this muscle, just like when we go to the gym and we train our muscles and we care for our bodies, we protect ourselves from danger, we protect ourselves from falling, etc. We also empower ourselves because through that strength, we're able to do more. And my focus is to really help individuals find that muscle and now train it so that they can always tap into it. So that call for me to say yes was really, it was just such a binary boom. Yes, yes. And by doing that, I felt that muscle really, just flex. Yeah. It was right there. And I felt it in my body when I said that to you. And I felt it again when I called you back and said, I'm 100%, I'm in. And I think we forget that things will come up and we think we're going to do that. I'm going to get to that. And particularly, I would say, and I don't like to distinguish necessarily, but particularly for women, we're so often saying, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And you teach us regularly, it's not what you're going to do. It is. It is. It's now, right? And so for me, really engaging that skill set and making decisions and saying, I don't know what tomorrow's bringing. Yeah. I don't know what could happen. All I know for me is that I've taken care of people, and you know this, I've taken care of multiple generations of my family for a very long time. My dad passed away early, just people needed help. And I'm the only one in my family that has children. And still I was the one who was the hub and helping. And I just really, that particular ask or invitation for me was like, it is right now. It is right now.
Yeah.
And I, quite frankly, I had sort of a wake-up call in January. I had a health issue. And thankfully that's, under, I think, good control, good sourcing. When that invitation came, I was like, if not now, like, who knows what could happen?
And I think that's really the message, is if not now, when? If not you, then who? The whole thing that we hear, but do we really hear it? When I think I was sharing with you, I went to my plan was to go with Jen, go to
Yes.
Malawi. I had the big plans, and then I got pregnant with Asher, amazing gift. And I wanted everybody was like, "You're not going to go to Malawi now." If I don't do it now, why is 10 years going to be better? Why is 20 years going to be better? And then I remember that I was going to do the marathon, and they told me not. When I went to Malawi, I had this whole dream. I was going to wear the shoes. I was going to do my 19-mile run. I was going to be ready for the Alaska Marathon. I raised my $5,000 for team and training, and then the shoes never showed up. And then everybody tried to talk me out of doing the full marathon. They said, "Why don't you just do the half?" And I'm like, if those ladies can walk, however many miles they walk, with a baby on their back and water on their head and a baby on their front and hungry, I can do a marathon. What do you feel makes people say, "I don't know if I'm resilient enough, if I can really handle this"? What do you think happens? What's that point of when they take the action or when they don't take the action?
So I think the reason that people don't take the action is the story that they've told themselves. I've certainly encountered people, as we all have, who, we might call Debbie Downers, people who just simply think that, bad things are going to continue to happen. It reminds me of like the character from Saturday Night Live, right? Who's just so negative all the time. And then when I get with somebody and I am able to tease out from them, tell them, what's that story? Where is that coming from? It's not just, what happened last week or last year. Let's drive back. What is it that you think really deployed all of this? What's something that just sits in your craw? And then when we pull that out and I say, okay, well, have you ever done a what if? What if tomorrow it could be different? And we do a little bit of role play. And then all of a sudden you see like the switch goes off.
Yeah.
Even for somebody who's been disappointed a lot, discouraged, when they think about the what if, there is something, I believe, through dopamine and, just sort of a chemical change that happens in your body, and making sure that we're encouraging that in the conversation, where every person I've had the privilege to work with has ultimately flexed and pivoted. And I also remind people that being an avid learner is such a gift. And that doesn't mean you have to read books every day. What it does mean, though, is, try something new, do something different. And one of the things, if my sons were here, they would say, "Oh gosh, she's like a broken record." You have to absolutely try new things. You have to. And I don't want to hear that, everything that was is. I just don't.
So what was a big flex for you? Like a big one?
Oh, a big flex for me for sure was
this right now, because I didn't give her any instructions. She was like, "I can't." What did you say? You're the only person that I will allow not to. What did you say?
To engage in surprises.
Engage in surprises.
Deploy surprises.
Deploy surprises. That's what I do. When you're with me, you deploy. I love that.
Yes, exactly. I would say when I launched my own firm, so I had been at my prior firm for a very long time. And my prior firm, which was a very large, very renowned firm, sadly had quite a number of struggles that were very public. And they were very difficult, so much so that even during the course of various chapters of that time, I had recruiters trying to get me out because they were concerned about my reputation being marred by what was happening. And I was very fortunate. I met one recruiter who was a friend, and she was about maybe 10, 15 years older than me. And she gave me the most beautiful piece of, I guess, counsel. I don't think it's advice, counsel. She said, "Here's the thing. I know, Ariana, that you know already that you're a leader and that you want to be a leader for the rest of your life." And she said, "I believe that if you leave that firm at that time, anywhere you try to go, people will not believe that you still have skin in the game, because you were a captain of the ship and you jumped. Everybody else in my life thought that was insane and said, oh, that's ridiculous. Like, just go out and build a new career. And it was the best decision for me to have stayed because I learned every element of running a firm, including rebranding, marketing, business, the fact that I built a business within the firm.
Right.
And then had partners have the cojones to say, this little business thing you've got going on in here, it's really not making us money. And I said, oh, thank you so much. No problem. And I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur, and that was not something I wanted to do. And with my business partner on that piece, we launched it out and built a company. We built a data hosting management company and then sold it through private equity. So we threw it out in 2015 and we sold it in 2022. Never in a million years did I think I would do that. The most pivotal moment was that I rebranded the firm again. I stayed longer and then brought in some new people. My name went on the door of that firm. And I immediately realized this is not what I want to do. I don't want to do it with these people. I don't have that calling. And so to pick up my cases, my clients, my team, and to launch Tadler Law, that was one of the biggest accomplishments, journeys, adventures. I'm really proud of it. And I remember my father, when he was alive, saying, well, you probably don't ever want to have your own firm because that's not your thing. Mm. And here it was that I had done it, and I had done it successfully. And we were actually in the black our very first year. And our very first year, as I shared, was, between 2019 and 2020.
Which is amazing. It's funny that I remember when I was in high school, I was getting a test back from the math teacher who was the football coach, Coach Chamberlain. Coach Chamberlain. And he took my paper and he threw it down on the desk and he goes, well, obviously you're not your brother. Oh. So it's interesting, the whole thing. And so when I went back for, I think it was my 30th high school reunion, they were touring the high school and we went to the room and I went into the room and I'm like, I'm good. I'm just going to stay out here. And this girl turns to me. She goes, I know why you're not going in the room. And I said, you do? She goes, I remember when Coach Chamberlain said that to you 30 years later. So not only the impact that it had on me, like that I'm not the girl, it's interesting, like what you said about your dad, like, oh, well, you're not going to go and do that. You talk about when you think, your dad's not here now in this physical world, but if your dad were here today, seeing what you have accomplished, seeing what you have made happen through all the challenges, what do you think he would say today to you?
Oh, he would be smiling ear to ear, and he would say how very proud he is of me. I've shared with you, my father had a very challenging life. He had some bad, sort of health practices, if you will, and his life was over early on. And quite frankly, and I just recently had this epiphany, I think that God took my father when he did because he knew that my brother, my sister, my mother, and I would not have been able to live the life that God had destined for us because my father would have been this distraction, focus, etc. And my father was wonderful and also very difficult. Yeah. And that being said, as I've processed back and forth in terms of his behavior and his effects on me, I am the person I am because my father drove me to be that person. I'm the eldest child. Without a doubt, I was raised as if I was an eldest son. I remember him even sometimes, using references that would sort of push me to that. And yet now, as you know, leaning into the femininity, leaning into that softer side, because I now finally have the time, the space, and the grace to do that.
And here's what I love about you, and the reason why I mentioned it is a lot of people would just say, leave your job, leave this, and this story, it's made you, the way that you are. But what I love is that you stayed in the firm because you knew you wanted to learn the things not to do. And you stayed, like you said, like a lot of people just left the firm, go do this own thing. And I think that your father, when I hear about your father, you've gone, okay, those are the choices that he made, but I'm still going to make my life extraordinary.
Yes.
And when you did that, just the parallels of the firm, of staying in the firm, and then getting to the point of like, you got yourself to the point of, okay, you gave yourself enough pain to be like, no, I am really done. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I had gotten to the point where I had realized just how unhappy I was. It takes a lot for me to be very conscious of unhappiness, that I was that unhappy, because I'm an optimistic, happy person. Joy is my North Star. So to suddenly feel that level, that weight, the pain point was so harsh that I just said no more. I can't do this anymore. And so much so that, people that are close to me know the story, that I walked out on a Friday and Monday we were up. Mm-hmm. Website was up. We were on a higher floor at One Penn Plaza. My view was the Empire State Building, because if I was going to go, I was going to go big.
Love it.
And I did go fully big.
So what advice would you give people, some of those people that are kind of like, I kind of want to leave. It's not that bad. I think, but what advice would you give? What would be a homework assignment you give somebody who's like ready to really pivot?
The homework assignment absolutely is you have to get with yourself. You have to get quiet. You have to really, be fully present with yourself and plan for that time. Don't just think, I'm going to do that now. No, you have to plan for that time, get yourself in the right headspace, make sure you're rested, sit down and write out, what is it that is making you so unhappy? Like, really unload. What is it? And then what is it that would make you so happy? You would have that sense of euphoria that if you could experience that, it would be wonderful, of course, every day. We'd love to be euphoric. Just sort of interspliced in your life, how does that feel? And when you do that, I feel that is what leads somebody. The muscle gets triggered, even if it only just moves a little bit, a centimeter. All of a sudden, you've empowered it. And that's the time, as I say, to make the move. You got to make the move. And that's hard, especially for people who are type A, especially for people who are controlling or have felt controlled.
Right.
When you do that, even though it's scary, I really believe if you choose curiosity over fear, you will always be rewarded. Always, always be rewarded. And it might not be exactly what you want. I promise you the other side is so glorious.
I love that. I love, love, love that. Well, I love spending time with you. I'm going to ask you one final question, because I ask everybody the question. I know the answer. I think I know the answer. I'm curious if I know the answer. But I think I do, because I got to spend a lot of time with you, and I'm very excited to spend even more time with you. Many decades when we're a lot alike. Every time we turn around, we're like, you too, yay! Yeah, me too, yay! What is one thing that you do every day to stay true to yourself?
Oh, it's so easy. Pray.
I know. I knew it.
Pray.
I knew it.
Faith is my number one. It is my number one strength. It's my number one emotion. It's my number one guide. And I don't know what I would do without it.
And I love it. You do in every part of your life, over your food, over, and over the people that come in your life, over an experience. I love watching you in action. Well, you are an amazing woman. How can people find out more about you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Ariana Tadler, just my name, Ariana, one N like Grande, Tadler, Tadler. LinkedIn, you can find me in the same way. Ariana Speaks is arianaspeaks.com, and Tadler Law, also at Kaplan Fox. So just a privilege to be with you. You are one of my favorite people on this earth. I just adore you.
I adore you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I sure have. And make sure to tune in. Click the link below. Tell us a little bit about what you enjoyed about this episode, and stay true to the amazing person you are. And that's a wrap on another episode of the Loren Lahav podcast. I hope you're walking away feeling totally inspired, energized, and ready to take on whatever comes your way. If you enjoyed our conversation today, wait till you hear what's coming up next. Speaking of which, mark your calendars because something incredible is happening March the 7th through the 9th. The Own It experience is coming. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on this transformational event. We're talking breakthrough moments, powerful connections, and tools that you can truly own your journey. Can't wait until then. Here's how you can stay connected. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Just search for the Loren Lahav podcast, and don't forget to tap that follow button. For all the behind the scenes goodness and daily inspiration, follow me on Instagram at I am Loren Lahav. And if you're loving what you're hearing, spread the love. Share this episode with a friend who needs to hear this message. Until then, remember your story matters, your voice matters, and you got this. See you on the next episode.